Michael, 1-1 draw with Wrexham here today with the B team. Just give us your quick assessment of the game.
Really good game, first and foremost. Tough opposition. They brought some lads that are probably on the periphery of their first team. So these games are always a really good test for the players. And I thought first half, considering the conditions, really, really good. Moved the ball really well. Said to him before the game, wanted to be on the front foot, press high, try and win the ball back, and then just play forward and attack really, and enjoy the ball. And I thought we did that.
You mentioned the conditions, that's why we've popped inside to do the interview rather than doing it in the storm outside. It presents its own challenge when the wind's blowing, the rain's blowing like that, but the lads seem to keep hold of the ball really well, seem to not be fearful of the players that might be playing more regular senior minutes than they do.
Definitely, I think it was wild. It was pretty wild out there. Obviously, first half we had the wind with us, which at times can be an advantage when you're pressing because it's more difficult for the other team to play out. But sometimes when you've got it, anything down the side or in behind is running through to the goalkeeper. And I thought second half we actually dealt with the conditions quite well. Played out, had a good little spell, probably 15-20 minutes where we really penned them in and played some good stuff when we scored. Great goal. Good cross from Neo, drove well down that side, and then Luke coming in and finishing it off, which was great because we wanted the opposite wing back to really get in on that back stick and make sure we attack the box well. Towards the end, I had to make a few changes, and it was difficult because the wind picked up even more. But you've got to try and play out because we couldn't get the goalkeeper, couldn't get Al to strike it because it had just been back in the box. So we were almost forced to do it, and I thought in the end it was tough because Wrexham really sensed that and they really went really high and pushed everyone up, and it was difficult, but real test of character for the lads, and I thought they come through it in the end.
Like you say, for Wrexham it was players on the fringe of the first team, even some of them who played regularly for the first team. Their manager was here keeping an eye on them, so it wasn't a game that they were taking lightly by any means. To be able to stand up to that level of opposition with a real competitive nature about about the game, it wasn't a friendly in that sense of the word. It was a good sense of character to come through it at the end and not concede late on when they were putting a bit of pressure on.
Yeah, I think so. I think Kev mentioned it before the game that there are no friendlies really. Not when you're playing at this level, and you're playing against a team like Wrexham. They have got a lot of players. They're doing well in the league at the minute, and all those boys will be wanting to try and either get in that team or get out somewhere if people are coming to watch. So it's tough because physically it's a challenge because they're older, they've got more experience, so there's certain things what you come up against with these players what you won't against others. Just a little bit more know-how. They took some good throw-ins where they got into the box and we didn't switch on to lock onto that quick enough, and they'll play down the side here and in for the back lads. Just playing against people who are physically stronger, it is a difference, but that's what you're going to come up against if you're playing in League 1, League 2 and obviously the Championship as we know, but it's tough, and those are the games that really test the players.
It was a good reaction mentally from the boys as well. It was a slightly different group available than what was available against Nottingham Forest in the Premier League Cup on Friday. To be able to regather a little bit, play the way we did today is no small thing, but again it kind of shows the difficulty of a B team set up in that from one Friday to a Tuesday the group you have available to you is completely different, dictated by what the first team needs are a little bit. Yeah,
definitely. I think obviously Friday we were quite young and we were frustrated and disappointed with Friday because for 75 minutes we competed well. First half we did okay, and then went up to the 75th minute and it was 2-0, we're down to 10 men, and you're trying to control the game and get back in it if you can. And obviously we fell apart a little bit the last 15 minutes, so it was good to have a game so quickly after that and recover. Obviously we had some older players playing in this game, which I think was key. And it is difficult at times because obviously you've got to balance off what the first team are doing, and people need to play games and get minutes. But I think what we've got to do is make sure that whenever anyone comes into the B team or that environment, that the principles are still the same of what we're asking everyone to do. And I thought today we did show that.
Well, we've got you. We just wanted to talk about your coaching journey with the club a little bit. Your role's changed recently as the academy evolves, as it's going to continue doing over the next few months and years probably. You started here as an individual coach, I think, and then you were looking after the 19s alongside Oren Thompson, but now you're assisting Kev at B team level?
Yeah, it's been really good. Obviously came in and was doing a lot of individual work and continued that, to be fair, while I've been here.
To people who are outside of the club, what does that mean? Is it sort of picking up on what small parts of their game they need to work on especially, and then doing that on a one-on-one basis? How does that work?
Well, we work off an IDP program here, so it's pretty much an individual coaching program. So, of course, we have collective sessions where the whole squad's involved, but we also have a lot of individual unit sessions, what we do throughout the week. So I was picking up a lot of those, especially when we got a lot of players, and trying to focus on certain lads and what they need. And then obviously I moved into doing the under-19s, did it with George for a bit, and then Oren, which was great, been really good experience. And obviously now moving on to working with the older players, it's a different test, it's a different mentality, because you're dealing with a different group who are, obviously the younger ones are really learning the game, and obviously then the older ones, you're trying to help them transition from where they are in the B team, hopefully into the first team. So it is different. But for myself, obviously, a lot of the lads that are now in the B team I've worked with throughout the age groups, under 17s, under 18s. I know it's an under 19s group, but I've seen them come through, so it's been good. But I think working alongside Kev, he's come in. It's been good so far. Getting on well with him, and I think our ideas and the way we see it marry up. So I'm looking forward to it, and I enjoyed today especially, and hopefully moving on to the next Premier League Cup game against Fleetwood, we can have a real solid performance similar today and get a result.
It's funny, speaking of Kevin, when we spoke to him, he talked about being your coach. It must be slightly odd for you to now be coaching alongside him.
Yeah, definitely. I know. I had him when I went to Preston. He was assistant manager to Darren Ferguson. So obviously I know his character, very infectious, good around the lads, keeps the atmosphere high, and I think that'll be really good for the players. And I think he's got a lot of experience with not only working with under 23s at Stoke, but also first team, which can only help for these players who are trying to make that jump, because that's the most difficult part, going from an academy player to a first team player, because there is a big difference, and it's people need to adapt and work out what's required quickly.
Having done that journey yourself, then, does that help you kind of spot the ones that are more ready, have the conversations with the ones perhaps need a word to kick them up a little bit? Yeah,
I think you're always trying to pass on advice to certain players when you see certain things, and your knowledge of a first team, you know what that environment looks like. So anybody stepping up, they've got to hit certain bits, standards, and what managers and first teams and first team players, what they expect you to be like when you go into that environment. So you're trying to shape them so that when they go up there, it's not a shock. Nothing's a shock, and they can deal with it. And if they've got the ability, the other part of it just comes naturally.
First team players and rubbing shoulders with them and even coach them a little bit is something you'll do in this role as well. Scott High played his first half an hour from his hamstring injury today. That's a good experience for you, but also good for the boys that they'll be able to play alongside those players and see those ones who've made that jump up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously Scott, he's come through the academy here. What's great about Scott, whenever he comes down, his attitude's exactly the same, and I think he's a really good role model for the younger players, because he's been on the journey that they're going on. But his attitude was fantastic. I know he's coming back from injury, so he only played a section of the game. But for the younger players, Dan Vost, who played today, Tom Iapender, I know he's been involved with it, but playing with those players regularly, it's only going to help them. Scott's played a lot of games now in midfield in the Championship. So yeah, it helps, and you see the quality that he brings. And for the younger lads, if they're playing with it, training with it, they can recognise what the level is and realise that they've got work to do.
Tonge, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.